Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Friday night's edition of Center Stage. I'm Carrie Hines, your host. Thank you for joining us for what should be another very interesting show. I'm going to pause here again tonight and ask you to get on the phone and at least text one person or call one person, a neighbor, a coworker, church member, or even a Facebook friend, and tell them that Center Stage is on the air and about to discuss the topic Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Revealed, Part 2. I'll repeat, tonight's topic is Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Revealed, Part 2. And before we begin, again tonight, I want to state for the record, I take rape very seriously, and as a woman would never take this topic lightly. However, we must also know a rape allegation is just that until proven. Bill Cosby has been accused of allegedly raping or having some form of inappropriate sexual contact with over 55 women. That said, only one has made it into a court of law. So again tonight, we will examine the allegations of some of his accusers. We saw some are getting more media attention than others. So we thought tonight we would look a little deeper into their stories. We see the faces of Beverly Johnson, Janice Dickinson, Barbara Bowman, Chloe Goings, Andrea Constad, P.J. Maston, and Beth Ferrer everywhere. But the question is, does these ladies' stories really add up to serious allegations against Cosby, or has someone put them up to this to bring down the legacy of Cosby? The flip side is, Bill Cosby has not been an angel. I believe he was habitually unfaithful to his wife. However, that is a case of a marital court, not civil or criminal court. His estimated net worth is $400 million, and I believe could be the motivation for some, if not all, of these women alleging rape or some form of assault. That said, tonight we will attempt to show that some of these cases may not be what the media has led us to believe they were. Again, tonight's topic is Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Revealed, Part 2. But before we begin, we want to remind you that the views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect that of Center Stage, the host, or our advertisers. With that out of the way, my panel tonight is Mr. Drew Hepkins. He's with Drew Story News on YouTube, as well as DrewStoryNews.com. My second guest is Son of Man. He's the leader and teacher of the New Nation of Islam, as well as the host of New Nation of Islam YouTube TV channel. And my last panelist tonight is Hillary Winfield, and she's a regular panelist here on Center Stage. Good evening, everyone, and welcome Center Stage.
Good evening, Carrie. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
y'all listen. Good evening. Last week, we promised to finish that list of Gloria Allred's clients. But, one thing we found out, one case after another last week was those stories just didn't add up. Allred has, some 29 cases, alleged victims. But, we went through all of those stories, y'all, last week, and we just really, one after the other, we weren't able to get to them all. But we sorted through them, and we just did not find the stories believable. So tonight we decided to change it up a little bit. We decided that instead of going through all of Allred's clients and just showing you all one after another the stories just didn't add up, we decided to switch it up a little bit tonight and deal with the stories that have been out in the media, the ones that you see on TV all of the time, the accusers like Beverly Johnson and Janice Dickinson, Miss Bowman, so many of those where, every time you turn on the TV and you see the Cosby story, you see their faces. So tonight we thought we would go there. So are y'all in agreement that's a better strategy for tonight?
Absolutely.
I'm with you on that.
You agree with that? Okay, great. So we decided to switch it up. So everybody's familiar with the name Beverly Johnson. She was a supermodel. Everybody knows who she is. She's a very beautiful woman who, for many years made her her living on the face of magazines. But it appears to be possibly another side to Beverly Johnson. And what we know is that she's alleging a situation occurred in the 1980s. You know, she's alleging that she was drugged and almost attacked by Cosby after she auditioned for a role on The Cosby Show. She says after a meeting with the sitcom star at a taping of the show, he seemed genuinely interested in guiding her to the next level. She claims he invited her to his home on multiple occasions. But during her last visit, he allegedly gave her coffee that she later realized was laced with drugs. She goes on to say that immediately she felt that she was drugged, and Cosby began trying to put his hands on her. She, alleges that she screamed. And according to her, Cosby became enraged and kicked her out of his home, shoved her into a cab, and where she was left confused and disoriented. Well, in 2015, Cosby filed a lawsuit against Johnson for defamation, basically for intentional infliction of emotional distress. And Cosby states that he never drugged her and that it's a total lie. What do y'all believe?
I believe just what Mr. Cosby said. I mean,
I agree.
After reading up on Adolf Hitler and his minister of propaganda, I forgot his name now. But anyway, they said that if you tell a big lie, people will believe it if you keep repeating it. And even if they find out that wasn't true, they will still believe parts of it. And you say what?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
I'm in both conference rooms. So when what they said was that Bill, if you tell a big enough lie and tell it, keep repeating it.
Okay, somebody's got their phone on.
At the moment, people are telling me they can't hear me in the conference room. Pardon me one moment, and you all can continue the discussion till I get back.
Okay. So Sonny Man's got to step away for a second. But do y'all believe Beverly Johnson, or do y'all have a problem with her story and the fact that Bill Cosby was so adamant about immediately coming out and saying that she was lying? Do you all think that that's an indicator that Beverly Johnson may not be telling the truth?
Well, there's a lot of things pointing to the possibility that she's not telling the truth. The main thing is her consistency. That's been an issue that a lot of people pointed out with small details to her story every time she says it. She came out with the written piece in Vanity Fair, then she went on The View, and then she went, I think, CNN. But when you take the transcripts of what she said, and when you match that with her videos of what she said, you can always catch at least one thing that was not right or off with the time that she felt disoriented, or, some kind of exchange, some kind of thing that she recanted was not like the other thing that she said. In addition to the fact that there's a lot of people in her life who, I don't think they wanted to jump, on Front Street with this issue, but there's a lot of people in her life. Her former manager, Don Gibble, was like, don't believe this nonsense. Iman spoke out and said something that, the modeling community, we're a very tight community. She has never said anything like this. We talk. She doesn't believe, that, this happened to her. She'd also accused Chris Noth of things that weren't true before, and used the media, the local media at the time, to kind of, slander him a bit. So there's a lot of things. She had an ex by the Mark Burke, who had psychological, she had papers on her to tell the court, look, there's something wrong here that you should see, because, this woman, there's issues. So everywhere you point, it's just not about attacking her, because that's not what I want to do. It's just when you have to consider this, this person is accusing somebody of something, and everywhere you turn to try to figure out who this person is, something just clearly is not right.
You got a point, and I think, didn't she have another boyfriend in which she owed money, and to avoid paying him, she slandered his name?
That was Chris Noth, and she also had an ex, Mark Burke, who she had court issues with. So this sort of thing kind of followed her. And if you want to check her values and integrity, and she's dating someone, I don't know if she still is, but she's been linked with Peter Nygaard, who has rape accusations and like slavery charges. So, there's a lot of just things that just not right. Like, if you were a woman who's been violated by a man, just the mere fact that you're dating someone who has all these rape accusations, you ran into the arms of this person. There's just a lot of things not.
I want to go
right.
back to that opening. What you said in the opening is proof that Hitler and them knew what they was talking about. Because even though many of us don't believe that he raped them women, we believe that he was unfaithful with all of them women. And we don't have no proof of that. But
you know what? No. No. I didn't say he was unfaithful with all of these women.
No, I wasn't
okay.
actually accusing you. I'm talking about what many people think.
Right. Well, let me be clear then, because
since he did not.
I don't want anybody to misunderstand what my intro did say. My intro said that he had, in my opinion, been habitually unfaithful. But that seems to be something by Bill Cosby's own account. But it doesn't have to be this many times, and it doesn't have to be these women. So, to clarify that.
In the first place, the only one that he had admitted to being unfaithful with was the one that he had made an agreement and out-of-court settlement went with to keep it.
No, that's not quite true. That no.
Yeah, also, Sean Brown as well. Sean Brown.
I don't.
He admitted to affairs with several of those women.
Yes, he admitted.
If he had affairs with them, well, it was an affair. It's just that, an affair. It's not a rape.
Right.
But the thing is, I'm thinking about this thing with Beverly Johnson. Do you recall when she went on The View?
Yep.
I didn't see it.
Okay, if you recall, when she was on The View, she said she called him a MF after she took the second sip of that, and he supposedly was touching her in the wrong way. And she said she called him an MF, and when she got down in the cab, after he took her downstairs and put her in the cab, she said, "Did I just call Bill Cosby a MF?" And well, if she was that bold, if that was her attitude, and she thought he had gave her something, then it never made sense to me that she didn't go to the hospital and find out what it was she was given. And
but you know what?
And if she was not going to go to the hospital and find out what she was given,
well, what you just said doesn't make sense.
That she's lying when she says she believed she had been drugged.
Well, what you said doesn't make sense. If she felt like he had drugged her and attempted to rape her, MF would be in line. So why would she then sound like she's backing up off of making a statement like that? To me, she should have used MF and a whole bunch of other words.
Well, that's my point. That's one of my points.
Yeah.
I mean, and then to come back and say she was afraid of him.
Yeah.
You don't call somebody who you're afraid of today for MF. And the next thing is, regardless of how much fear you have, if you think someone drugged you, if you really believe that, you're not going in the cab home. You telling the cab, take me to the nearest emergency room.
I can see how you can be slightly disoriented now and not maybe do that, right
well,
away.
I
Maybe
can't, because
no. I'm just saying if you're disoriented
enough to feel like she had been drugged, she was oriented enough to tell the man to take her to the nearest emergency room. How did she get home?
I've never been a victim of rape, but I can see how you need to maybe take a couple hours and process what just happened, maybe 24 hours even, to process what happened. But she didn't say he raped her, so I don't know. I just question.
The disorientation argument don't wash, because who told the cab how to get her home?
She said that he put her in the cab, but she was still conscious or coherent, I guess, at that point. She said what makes her story, those aren't really things that make her story incredible. It makes
like I said, her story don't sound credible at all to me, because on the one hand, she's talking to herself. Did I just call Bill Cosby a MF?
Yeah, but that
came out of her mouth.
Yeah, but that's not anything. I think that, I don't. She may have called him names. Actually, I believe she did call him names, but I don't think it was because she felt he drugged her and tried to rape her. I mean, they were seeing each other, and I think she probably went over there high or got high. Anyway, they probably got into it, and he put her out. Bill
Cosby don't get high.
He doesn't. She does.
No, ma'am. No, they didn't get high.
Say that he
what
did.
happened was the same that happened with the other lady that somebody had sent over there to try to seduce Bill Cosby.
I know that was actually the second or third time she had been out with Bill Cosby. So I think they were seeing each other. Some other people intimated as much. I think she may have been high herself, because during that time period, and she even spoke about this in her Vanity Fair article, her relationship with drugs. So I'm not saying that he was high, but she may have been. They may have gotten into it. He put her out the house.
Let me tell you something. Anytime a man like Bill Cosby,
she came home from that meeting with him, and it was because she had lunch with him. So she came home in the late afternoon, totally passed out, and she doesn't know how to go to her apartment. And she says she believed her man was somebody taking her to her apartment. But why wouldn't the doorman? I mean, she must usually come home at that time of day passed out, because otherwise, if she came home passed out in the middle of the day, they would have called the ambulance or done something. They wouldn't just put her in her apartment, because to come home in the afternoon totally drunk and passed out or drugged and passed out would raise alarms. People are not going to stick you in your apartment and not do anything. So they know to do that.
Well, I see what you're saying now. No,
let's pause here and deal with the whole issue of drugs.
I would tell
First of all, we know that on the modeling scene, drugs is a common thing. We know in Hollywood, drugs is a common thing. And we know back in the 70s, Quaaludes and all of that was everywhere. So
everybody was doing it.
Okay, everybody was. Let's be clear on what Quaaludes are like. Quaaludes, in my opinion, are like the Viagra of today. Okay? So Quaaludes was like the sex drug for the 70s and the 80s. And so when we hear this term Quaaludes, it makes it sound like it's just this terrible thing that Bill Cosby was the only somebody dealing with or had a prescription for, but it's more like the Viagra of then. And so when you really put that in context and see what they're saying about the deposition, we're going to ask Drew to kind of break down when we keep hearing the deposition, Bill Cosby said he had prescriptions for Quaaludes. We're going to ask Drew to kind of break down what his research has found that really means when you put it really in context. Can you do that for us, Drew?
Sure. It wasn't an admission at all. And most lawyers, if you talk to them, they know that. They understand that. What this was one of the most terrible, blatant media, tailspins. What was asked of Bill Cosby in a much longer deposition that was not published, in a much longer deposition, she asked him roundabout questions, and she asked him a question that anybody could have answered yes to. It was a leading question, and she asked him, was it ever on your mind to use the Quaaludes for women? And like you said, Quaaludes was widely used for sex. It heightened sex. And, a lot of people, the disadvantage is it's not a popular drug today. So people are completely ignorant about what Quaaludes even are. So, the media, could easily take advantage of that and misinform people about the whole situation. And they've demonized Quaaludes to be this date drug, which it is not. And it doesn't have those effects. It's more of an euphoric thing. It's like the ecstasy or Molly of the day. So it was used for sex and for partying. So like they asked him, the Triani asked him, did you ever have it in your mind to use them for women? And he said yes. And that little line right there is what the media used. And they used a little bit of the truth. Did he admit having purchased Quaaludes? Yeah, he purchased prescriptions for Quaaludes. Did he say under oath that he used them for women? Well, literally, yeah, if you take it out of context, like they did, you can do whatever you want with that. But yeah, he said yes. So they used that and deliberately changed the meaning, and they used very suggestive terms. They're very evil in the media because there's words that they know psychologically will imply things without lying to you. So they use the words admit. They use the words confess. Bill Cosby admitted to doing this. Bill Cosby confessed to doing that. So by the end of the tailspin, everyone in America is under the belief that Bill Cosby drugs women, but that is not what was in the deposition at all. We've been lied to and deceived. So the admission, there was no admission.
Okay. So
you sum that up just right. That's right.
So when y'all keep hearing he drugged women, because you'll hear that in all of these stories, he drugged me, he gave me a pill. First of all, again, as I stated last week, if you're a grown woman over 18, if a man hands you a pill, outside of a bottle with no name on it or anything and says, here, take this with a glass of alcohol, most women know that means that they're trying to have sex. So It's okay to say no, which is what I don't see any of these women saying. No, I don't want your pill. I don't want a pill. But that's the part.
Even when they admit that even when they admit that they consented to taking the drug, they still kind of leave it like, he's still the big bad wolf, like he gave, like, they wouldn't normally take these pills. But like somebody like Janice Dickinson, who's been high since 1962, you don't need to any type of drugs, and she probably knows enough about drugs to open a pharmacy, a legit pharmacy. So they use, like he said, they're using these words just to mischaracterize what he actually said. Because when when they first came out with this story that he admitted to drugging women, and people were like saying all this, I went to try to find it, find the deposition so I could just read it for myself. And I was noticing that the only ones that were available were attached to Ms. Troiani's motion that she has filed for sanctions against Cosby's attorney. So I kept trying to look for the full deposition, but there is no full deposition out there. It's only parts of the deposition that she found useful for her motion. So obviously that right there is red flags. Like, this isn't the entire thing. This is only the parts that she needed to support whatever her allegations were in her motion against Cosby's attorney for sanctions. So when he never did say that he drugged women, i.e., without their knowledge or consent. He said he had them for, like, if you have ecstasy, obviously you have ecstasy, so you and your partner can use it while you have sex or anything like that. But that's very different from procuring ecstasy and sneaking it into somebody's drink without their knowledge or consent.
Right. And the thing you said about the court filing, what she did in and of itself wasn't bad. It was normal. But this is the part of the evil of what happened was that what she had, like it's correct what you said. It wasn't a deposition. It was excerpts from the deposition that she chose. Trani chose. She selected the parts that she wanted, and she filled in her notes. And it's that court filing, that document is what was leaked out to all the media, and it's on all the websites. So it's not the deposition. What we have is an edited court filing full of things that Constance's lawyer chose, and she kept out anything that was damaging to the women, anything that looked bad for the women, any cross-examining of the women. She kept all of that out. And she kept in anything that was bad for Bill Cosby. And she threw her notes on top of that. And it was that document that just, coincidentally was released out to the media. Her court reporting agency that she hired was the one that gave that court filing to the New York Times. So this is the quagmire we're in right now.
Well, I'm sure glad Dr. Cosby is suing him.
She did with her motion, because if you're writing a motion, you're obviously going to only use the parts that are helpful to your position. That was fine, but like you said, the way the media is using it is totally inappropriate.
Right.
Well,
I agree.
I'm looking forward to them after they finish with these women to go after these stations that help to slander him, because that was very irresponsible. You don't get out in the national media and let someone just slander people without, if they're going to say something about a famous man, that man's name is his reputation is his means of livelihood. Then you go out there and these women accusing this man of all of this, and you don't ask them just fundamental questions that any person with common sense would ask. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that if a person tells you they got drugged, the next question is, what drug did he give you?
They could have got rid of a third just by not including the ones that don't actually allege any rape.
Well, all of them done shot themselves in the foot when they said they believed they was drugged. They believed they was raped.
Not even all of them even said that. I was watching the interview that they did with, I think it was 30 some of them. It was a large number. And the interviewer had them raise their hands to ask how many of them thought they were drugged and how many of them thought they were raped. There were, I think, 6 women that didn't raise their hand to either question. So what are you doing on here?
What are you doing even sitting there? That's right.
Drugged at all. Why are you here? People like that, why would you put them on in the public eye? They haven't had anything happen to them.
They were confused by the question. They were waiting for the attorney to tell them how to answer. I'm sorry, y'all. You just do that.
Beverly Johnson raised her hand to say
have you all thought about the fact
but not rape?
Have any of you thought about
Incredible Housewife? She did not raise her hand at all, and she does not allege that he assaulted her or raped her or drugged her. But they still have her on there, and they're still counting her in the number, although she makes no allegation whatsoever.
Paula Ferrigno, you talking about?
Have you all ever thought about?
People say he tried to kiss her or whatever, which isn't.
Have you all thought about that they made jokes about Bill Cosby getting on them about cursing in front of our people and all of that kind of stuff? Eddie and Richard.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? If they made a joke out of him doing that, how often he must have been doing that?
Well, Eddie Murphy has spoken about that several times in the past. How Bill Cosby kind of pulled him up, but
that's the act of somebody who was going around drugging and raping people. I mean, is that the attitude of someone who don't care no more about a woman than to drug her and rape her?
I don't know, but I know I don't believe any of these women that are together the rape them.
That just does not go together. I mean, here this man, his whole life, have pretty much been in the public eye. Anything that he did that was untoward. When the FBI was watching him back in the 70s, and the CIA was watching him, when some of these people say he was over in the Playboy Mansion molesting somebody, and he was on the list of enemies of the White House with Nixon. He was on Nixon's list.
Right. Okay, y'all, if you just tuned in tonight, you come center stage for the topic, Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Revealed, Part 2. We're switching it up tonight, y'all. We decided we weren't just going to spend 2 shows on talking about Gloria Allred's clients because, you know, we literally went through all of their stories and found them not believable. So we thought, why waste a second show just talking about Gloria Allred and the fact that her clients may just be gold diggers. So tonight we decided to switch it up and talk about the ones that we see in the media all the time. Every time you turn on the news and you see the Bill Cosby story flash across the screen, you see these faces. You see Chloe Goins, so you see Beverly Johnson, Janice Dickens, P.J. Maxton, Barbara Bowman, and also you see Andrea Constad. And by the way, tonight we did speak with Chloe Goins' manager, Juris Jr., twice today and asked him to have Chloe come on the show. You know, he seemed, you know, like maybe not. I'll just have to see. But he didn't shut the door. So as of airtime, I'm still waiting for him to give me a confirmation. But we did talk with him. He asked us would we play her song if they came on, and I told them, yeah, if you come on, we'll play your song. And so I'm assuming they declined, but they do have the number to call in tonight. So if they're listening, Chloe Goins, you still have the floor if you want at center stage tonight. You can come on and tell us about your song and why you chose to do it, and what it is meant to, I don't even know where to go with it, y'all. What is that song meant to do? What is it meant to do? What kind of impact were you to make on this case with that particular song? Just interested in her calling in and telling us in her own words. So we're going to leave that open, that invitation. She does have the phone number, and we have invited her to call tonight, hoping that she can kind of shed a little light on her story, which we're going to get to in a little bit, her story about, what happened with her and Bill Cosby, and the fact that, there's been some new movement in her case this week. So, if she doesn't, we'll understand, but the invitation was put out there today to her manager, Juris Jr. Okay, y'all, listen. I understand that Son of Man has some new information on Andrea Constad.
Constant, right.
Constant. Okay, so you want to enlighten us a little bit. Everybody knows Constant is the one that Bill Cosby is currently in court about. This is the one that, we're seeing on the news where he's actually the only one that made it to court. So we're wanting to know what you know about this one, or do we need to set it up what actually happened? Initially, she alleged this happened in 2004. She said she was the director of operations for Temple University's women's basketball team. She says that in November 2002, she met with Cosby at Temple University, a Temple University alum, when he approached her and offered to be her mentor in an attempt to gain her trust, she believes. She says January 2004, she says that she met with him at his home in Pennsylvania and alleges that he gave her pills that he said would ease her anxiety. Constant claims that after drugging her, Cosby groped and sexually assaulted her. So we know that in 2005, Constant filed civil charges against Cosby. So we know that ended up going nowhere, and they threw that case out. If I'm understanding correctly, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of trying to speed through this. And what happened was she ended up filing a civil suit, and she settled and got paid. And some kind of way, Drew's going to help me from there, how that deposition got open, and some kind of way we're back in court again.
Yeah. Well, she, I'm not going to suggest deliberate foul play live on air, because that would be an assumption, but something does not look right, smell right. She signed a settlement that had a gag in it. She's not to speak on this, and the deposition was supposed to be sealed. However, like I mentioned before, the court reporting agency that was hired by Constance's lawyer just so happened to be the court reporting agency that gave the court filing, I should say, to the New York Times and leaked this stuff out anyway. So there's something weird about that and how it got back to court. This is something that's been settled out of court, and it was sealed. The reason why it seems almost, deliberated, that they forced a reason to unseal it due to the very fact that this court reporting agency leaked out this information. And, when the judge invented his reason to unseal the document and this stuff came out, it was the court of public opinion that drove all this back into focus. It was nothing legal that made this, anything that should come back to court. It was just the outside variables and the public opinion and the rumors that was swirling around that started to, put power to this and started to put things in people's mind. And then it became political because the DA, Bruce Castor, he initially said that Constance had contradicted herself. And she had, not contradiction, she exaggerated parts to her story and she made embellishments. And this is why she tried to sue him. But long story short, there was just nothing there for him to move forward with this, and so he dropped the case. That's why they went to get a civil case. And this new DA, Kevin Steele, did something that was it's historical because it's so unconstitutional and ridiculous. This man ran his campaign on someone who hasn't been charged with a crime, but promised to get him. Based on a case that was sealed and settled out of court. So how that was even appropriate, you can tell me. But it became political, and like his campaign promise, he drove this right back into the forefront, and this is the case that's in the court right now, something that was settled and sealed 12 years ago.
Okay, and the reason I keep referring to Drew on this deposition, y'all, he has a wonderful YouTube video about the deposition, so he could better explain it than I can. So that's where we are in terms of, this Gloria Constance. So we're back in court on something that should have been settled and sealed 12 years ago, but some kind of way, how they do us, we're back in court. So we understand Son of Man has some new revelations on the Andrea Constance story. Can you shed some light on that, Son of Man?
Yes, I want to read to you from the affidavit of that Ms. Constance's lawyer filed. And by her own admission, the way that this reads, you'll discover that Dr. Cosby didn't do nothing to that lady in the way of untoward anything.
Okay.
It was just him and her in a relationship.
Oh, they were in a relationship? Okay.
Listen to this. Introduction. This is the affidavit of probable cause. Andrea Constance, hereinafter, the victim. I'm not going to read it like that because it presupposes that it has already been determined that Andrea Constance is the victim instead of the victimizer. So I'm just going to read their names, and then you listen to what she confesses to in this pleading here.
Okay.
It says Andrea Constance was employed as the director of operations for Temple University's women's basketball team between December 2001 and March 31st, 2004. And in that capacity was introduced to Bill Cosby. In the months following their introduction, Mr. Cosby contacted the victim, No, Mr. Cosby contacted Miss Constance Temple University office to discuss business-related matters. Eventually, Miss Constance and Mr. Cosby exchanged personal phone numbers and developed what Miss Constance believed to be a sincere friendship. Further, she considered Mr. Cosby, 37 years her senior, to be a mentor. Notice, she considered him to be a mentor. Not that he told her that. She considered him to be that. Then she goes on and says, and describes instances in which he invited her to his home for dinner, invited her to restaurants, invited her to events, introduced her to various people, and provided her with guidance and career advice. In other words, they went out on dates. That's what that sounded like to me. But anyway, Miss Constance told investigators he had no interest whatsoever in a romantic relationship with Mr. Cosby, but described two separate incidents in which Mr. Cosby made sexual advances towards her. The first incident occurred several months after their initial meeting, when Mr. Cosby invited the victim to his home for dinner and prepared by his private chef. When she arrived, she sat and spoke with Mr. Cosby near a fire. After about 20 minutes, the chef served her dinner, which she ate by herself, and she drank some red wine. After dinner, she and Mr. Cosby were sitting on the sofa, when without warning, Mr. Cosby reached over and touched her pants, her waist, and her inner thigh. With that, she dismissed herself to go to the bathroom and gathered her things to leave. Before her departure, Mr. Cosby gave her a bottle of perfume and thanked her for little gifts she had brought him. Do you see something strange in that?
Oh, wait. Is that it? Oh, my goodness. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Now, see,
They
again,
bringing him
y'all.
gifts, they exchanging gifts and whatnot.
Okay, first of all, he's a married man. And
Yes.
why were you going to his home, sitting by the fireplace, asking his wife? Okay, so let me say something for a second.
Now, who is the victim here?
I think sometimes we as women have to be very clear, with not giving out mixed messages. I would think if I had done the same thing with a man, he may be led to believe that I'm interested in going further. And I'm not advocating rape of anybody or sexual assault of anybody, but I'm just saying sometimes we as women have to be clear with the messages that we're sending. So just judging from what you just read, I would get the impression if I were a man that, okay, maybe she's interested in me like I'm interested in her. So I can see where maybe he advanced it further thinking that she was interested. But in a court of law, that doesn't sound like rape. That sounds
that's my point.
She was involved with him because, like you said, a woman doesn't go over a married man's house multiple times, especially in the evening and doing all that. So after he came on to her twice, and she alleges that the second time he actually put his hand down her pants. If a man does that and you are not interested, a woman is not going to keep seeing you alone, or go to your house alone. And especially because at the time she was over 30, so she's not like young and dumb. Like a woman over 30 knows the score. Like it sends too many mixed messages, or that she's just using his affection to advance her career, because not only after he put his hand down her pants the second time, she continued to associate and go out with him, and they even went to a casino together in Connecticut. So why would you go away with him? And then when she met him the date of the incident, she said that he specifically told her that they would be alone and to wear comfortable clothes and to come at like 9 o'clock at night. Well, no. I'm not coming to your house at 9 o'clock at night when you have already put your hand down my pants and I didn't want you to. And I know we're going to be alone on top of that, and you're telling me what to wear to your house and it has to be comfortable? Like, no. If you are really serious about wanting to talk to this person about your career, you would, and given what had happened before, you would not go to his house. You would go to a professional location like, his office or your office, or in a public place. You're not going to put yourself alone with that person, and you're not going to be taking pills that you haven't even bothered to ask what they are or chase them with wine.
Well, another thing, though, too, a woman has to be careful about crossing the line with married men. And so even if you felt like he was going to mentor you, you still have to have boundaries. When he says we're going to go out to dinner, if it's absent his wife, the answer is no, because the Bible said don't let your goods be evil spoken of. So you wouldn't want to appear to be doing something that you weren't, or that you weren't even thinking about doing. So, I'm sorry, she doesn't sound like the victim at all, and it doesn't sound like a sexual assault. It doesn't sound like a rape. And to be very honest with you, to throw the racial card in there in the equation, if this was a black woman alleging this against a very rich white man, she would be laughed out of court.
I think
favors from men that they are not interested in, that they know the man is interested in them. Like, they just don't even take the favors because it's just not. It's not worth it. You're using people at that point. If you're not interested and you know they're trying to do stuff for you in order to gain your favor, most women with integrity won't even take the favors.
That's why I asked you who was the real victim here.
Well, I think the important points that was just made was that a lot of people don't know or realize was that, which was true, Cosby had hit on her heavy before and went down her pants, and she was still down to ride for a few more occasions to go to his house,
according to her.
Right, but like I'm saying, him hitting on her was no surprise. He'd done it already, and she still voluntarily hung with him. So his advances towards her was nothing that she didn't come as a surprise. She knew that he was interested, and she still voluntarily went to his house at night.
Say, Drew, you remember that other thing, the whole thing when she got up and went to the bathroom?
Right.
Before she got up and went to the bathroom, there was nothing in there that said, I said to him, no, we ain't going that way. That's not what I'm here for. That's not. She didn't say nothing. She just said she got up and went to the bathroom.
Exactly. That's exactly why I was thrown out.
I mean, what?
And back in, and you know what? The fact that she even got paid civilly to begin with, I think, was just because he didn't want the story to come out, not that he was admitting any guilt.
He said that.
Yeah.
He admitted that's why he settled.
Yeah, that's what Gloria Allred is doing. It's just a shakedown because most pay to get rid of the problem if you can. And
Gloria Allred said that this would go away if he put up $100 million and let anybody that want to sue him just come forth, and they will get some judges and they will all divvy out the money.
Right. I think she did the same thing. I was watching somebody else's video today, the Black Authority, I think it is, where Gloria Allred did the exact same thing to Tiger Woods with Rachel. You could tell. Basically, it was a shakedown. We're going to go public with all this stuff that you've been, philandering around town. We're going to come forward if you don't give us this money, basically. And he paid her, them. So
and we're going to ruin your reputation and everything.
And to do that, to shake people down. Because most people just pay just to get rid of the problem and she's done it to numerous people.
You know what? If Bill Cosby worked at General Motors, this wouldn't be in the court of law. Seriously.
Oh, no.
It would be like, okay, ladies, stay away from him. Because, yeah, you're not interested in him, so don't go there anymore, and that should take care of that. That's what the Justice Department would say, the judicial system would say to her. Okay, don't go there again. But since it's Bill Cosby, him touching you inappropriately, equates to millions of dollars, I guess, and possible criminal charges. That's crazy. This is crazy. Y'all, let's go to the phone lines. 860-212. Good evening. You're on Center Stage. 860-212. Last call. We're gonna. Okay, obviously they're doing something, but this wouldn't happen. This absolutely would not happen to a white man who was as rich as Bill Cosby if an average, director of a college basketball team said what Andrea Consid just said. That's crazy.
Well, even in this, I think it's a lesson for us all to learn. And that lesson, you remember they said, it's an old saying in this world, I never understood it until now. No good deed will go unpunished.
Wow. Exactly.
That was directed at all of these black stars and all of these black people that become millionaires. If you reach back and try to help your people, we're going to punish you. Because we didn't put you out.
Gloria Allred African American? I thought she was Caucasian.
No, Gloria Allred ain't no.
Not Allred. I'm sorry, Andrea Consid. Is she African American?
Black. Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, I thought she was Caucasian.
She's white.
Whenever you saw any black person make it, lots of money, you didn't hear from them hardly no more in the black community.
Okay, y'all, we got to move on.
Because they get something on all of them. If they ain't got nothing on you, they keep on watching you until they can get something on you. If they can't get you to do something that they can hold over your head, because you might get an attack of conscience and love for your people. So,
right.
So to keep any of you, remember when Whoopi came out and said that she didn't believe them women? They jumped on her with both feet.
Yeah, they did.
And until
and made her back
on the air, and saying, I all this evidence, it ain't no evidence. All it is that they hold things over our people's heads, and because they couldn't control him like that, they didn't have nothing on him. They tried to get something on him, and since they couldn't get nothing on him, they did what they knew how to do, which is take the television that made him and take that same media and discredit him.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
And I'm not going to go for that stuff. I see that game. They just punishing him for trying to do good for his own people.
Y'all, we got quite a few to get to in just about an hour. We talked about Beth Ferrer last week, but we're going to hit on her very quickly and move on. Beth Ferrer, who's been in the news, you see her face all the time, the little Caucasian lady with the very short brunette hair. She had months, that's with an S, long consensual affair with Bill Cosby before she alleged rape. So then she visited him again after the rape. So just to give you an idea that all of these stories look so big when we see them in the media. However, when you take them and dissect them, they become very small. And, the details just don't add up. It's kind of like bullet holes through these stories. And they're huge bullet holes. And so Beth Ferrer is another one. I won't spend a lot of time on her. She alleged that happened in the 80s. But when you say you had months with an S, long consensual affair with Bill Cosby, then come back and say that he raped you, it almost seems to me that some of these women, and I'm just gonna guess at this, and this is not based on any fact, y'all, but this is just me. Is it a possibility that these women did not get out of the affairs what they wanted? Maybe they thought that Bill Cosby was going to be this very generous sugar daddy who was going to set them up for life, and maybe when he didn't, maybe he abruptly broke off the affairs. I don't know. This is just guessing. If what these ladies are alleging, is true about them having the affairs. Let's just say not the rape part, but the affairs. So let's just say if
very possible.
I have a question too on top of that one.
Okay.
I remember when we was in high school, especially you brothers. Don't you remember how some of us used to lie about some woman we went with? Or some girl that we was dating, talking about, I got some of that. You ain't got nothing.
Right.
You think women women don't do that?
Oh yeah, especially with the rich man.
It's impossible for a woman to say she had something going with you when she know that it's just your word against hers.
But
why do you keep assuming that he did anything with them women?
Okay, but I'm just saying, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they knew him. I'm just saying that. Maybe they knew him. Maybe they did have an affair. If the affair took place, let's just stop for a second, son of man, and deal with the fact Bill has said he's done some stuff. So we don't want to make it look like Bill didn't do anything because that's ridiculous.
I'm not trying to say, and even that. Notice, I'm not trying to say that he didn't do nothing with nobody.
Okay, but I'm just saying, let's just say, hypothetically, he did have an affair with one or two of them.
The one that he did do something with. Then why would you not believe him if he told you he didn't do something with them other ones?
It's not that we believe or not believe us.
It
is
that we believe or not.
For her to claim that she's in a relationship with him, and then suddenly he raped her, and then after he raped her, she still continued, or she still at least one time went back to see him again, that in and of itself sounds fishy. Now, whether or not he had a relationship with her may or may not be true, but for her to, if that's her story, that she had a relationship with him, and then for no reason out of the blue, he raped her, and then after she was aware that she was drugged or raped or whatever, she still voluntarily went to see him again anyway, that is fishy. But
well, like I
because
said,
Barbara Goldman
if
was the same, she was the same. Another woman he was putting through college, she said he raped her multiple times and flying her out and doing all this other stuff. And she was asked him at one point, according to her, was basically, was he going to rape her again? Well, why are you getting on a plane to go get raped? Like that, those stories are suspect and questionable.
Well,
I would say this to any woman. I would say this to any woman. If you don't want a man, don't take his money. Okay? Then just be very clear so this doesn't happen to another woman with any confusion about what the man wants and what he doesn't want. The best way to stay clear of any type of assault or any type of possible rape, if you're not interested in the man, then you don't take his gifts and you don't take his money.
And after he assaults you, don't go back to visit him again.
Ain't no sense. Ain't nobody gonna tell me they grew up in America and don't know what you just said there.
Yeah.
Of course they know that.
In elementary school, we was doing stuff we ain't had no business. Little boys and little girls, they was going with each other and all that kind of stuff, all up through school.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me that all of a sudden you 30 years old, or you 25 years old, or 20 years old, or 19 years old, and you don't know the score.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see,
now we
know. Supremacy, that's what white supremacy depends upon, is that it's putting forth some illogical scenario, and it depends upon you accepting it, just going for it. So when someone says something totally illogical, like he kept flying me out to Tahoe to rape me, and I kept going, and he was paying me for me to go to college, like that doesn't make sense. But white supremacy needs you to go along with the idea that does somehow make sense. And so it's your responsibility to just stick with the truth and common sense. No, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And yes, I will ask that woman about that.
And you could also look at it from a different standpoint. I mean, I initially started looking at this strictly in terms of the law, and I wasn't even considering guilt or innocence yet. Should any of this have been happening? Absolutely no. And when you just look at statistics and probability, and just think of the fact that out of 55 and some odd women, not one just immediately, oh my God, I was raped, went to the police, did the right thing, got a toxicology report. Not one of these stories check out. Not one. Some of them, they were dating him for a while. Some of them already got caught lies. Others, they weren't raped when you actually found out, what actually happened. Every one of these 55 women is not a clean and cut case where, okay, this doesn't look good. And that says to me that this shouldn't even be happening. It shouldn't have reached the media.
You know what? Let me piggyback off something you all said. First of all, if anybody remembers the rape case that just went to court and the young white man was found guilty. He was a police officer, and he raped multiple African-American women in Alabama. I believe it was Alabama.
No, it was Oklahoma.
And if you really think about that, those women were drugged through the mud. I mean, they have to have all kind of evidence, to prove that this guy raped them, okay? And look how long it took for that to even get in court. Yeah, and it was 13 women or something? The number was like in the double digits. But all it takes is for a woman to say Bill Cosby touched them. And we're talking about, all kind of prosecutors looking at the case and deciding whether or not they have something to go with, and one throwing it out and another one picking it back up and closing depositions and open depositions. This is nonsense. And we're allowing the system to set the bar way too low for black men and way too high for white men.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're speaking out. You're not allowing it. It was being allowed until we start speaking up.
We need to
get loud. We say Bill Cosby is guilty, but those 13 women that the officer raped, they got called all types of names. He still has the charges anyway, but they had to go through a lot of degradation and all types of being called names in open court because it was a white police officer defendant with actual rape allegations and physical evidence to prove that he had raped these people. But that one's totally different. But some white woman comes to her in 1974 and, he's a rapist and a predator and all this stuff.
Didn't you remember what? Don't you remember what Dennis Dickinson said on Ronan Farrow's show when he asked her what advice do she have for women? She she said, women, you don't know how much power we have. We are the stronger race.
Wow.
You want to hear it?
That's actually played out.
I regarded that one.
I mean, to piggyback that's actually been playing out in certain cases. There's a case in, I forget where, but Tyler Host. 13 young girls accused him of rape, and the young man was 19 years old. He's been in prison for an entire year, and it's just coming out now that all 13 girls planned it. They were just exes of his. They were just the girls he had dated, and they wanted to, quote unquote, get him back for being a player. And there's Facebook evidence of their interactions of plotting this whole thing, and this young guy is in jail for over a year. So, this kind of mirrors what's going on now, where people don't understand that could these people have worked together? When you corroborate a story, that's all you need. You don't need evidence, because people will go against what the law is if you can make enough people think this happened, and that's exactly what happened to Bill Cosby.
If you black, don't be scared to say it, because if you white, you got to be proven guilty.
But y'all, for the record,
in America, if you white and you get accused of something, it's not on you to prove your innocence. It's on the accuser to prove that you're guilty, and they better come in there with something other than their mouth.
And, if you're a woman, to be honest with you, the two worst things in the world you can do it's really is to accuse a man of rape and accuse him to be your baby's daddy if he ain't. Okay, and both of them are like as low as you can go. And so, I don't know in these cases, but the stories just don't seem consistent with someone who was raped. I mean, I would think, and I've never had that happen, but I would just think that, in my opinion, the first thing to say to someone who's invading your space or touching you in a way that you don't appreciate or like is for you to say, no, I'm not interested in you like that. You're a friend or you're an associate. And so if you perceive that's rape, stop. I don't hear the word stop. I don't hear the word rape in these stories, which seem to me to be odd. But I'm just saying, that's just me. But, y'all, let's go back to the phone lines. We're going to go to 731-513. Good evening. You're on Center Stage.
Yeah, good evening, Ms. Hines. How you doing?
How you doing?
Okay, this is Chuck C.
Hey, Chuck.
Okay. Good evening to your guest also. Great show. Listen, the thing is, Mr. Cosby, all these allegedly rape allegations, like you just said, no one said stop. No one said that, stop, don't do this or whatever. Some even went back for a second helping. I don't know the reasons why, But, I haven't heard any hospital records, any blood tests or anything. So he's got a very smart attorney that's going to pick this alive. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it seems like, these women are out for money. Don't get me wrong now. If he did it, allegedly, then he should be punished like anybody else. Same thing about Bill Clinton. They said that he allegedly raped these women, but they had no proof. Only thing is he say, she say, But because Mr. Cosby is a black man, and he's a billionaire, then they're going to try to bring him down, and stuff, and break him, the same way they did OJ. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, though, I love the attorney that Mr. Cosby had. This is the woman that should have been the attorney general because Loretta Lynch, she's a stiff. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that Mr. Cosby is going to be exonerated of all these charges, and all these women, they're going to look stupid, because even the most recent case, they don't have any evidence of her going to the hospital or saying that she told him to stop or anything anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And Gloria Allred is trying to get him to settle out of court. She's trying to milk him for as much money as she can, This is open and shut case of hoochie mamas. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion about it,
Wow. I appreciate that.
I
agree with you.
Touch something that you said earlier, Miss Hines.
Thank you, caller.
The thing that people ain't thinking about also is the fact that these women said that they was afraid. Now I don't know about you. When somebody that beat up on me or whatever, and I couldn't do nothing about it, when they got through, I wasn't afraid. I was mad.
Mm-hmm. See,
and
but you know what? To piggyback off what you just said,
I wanted to get them.
You know what?
Now,
the thing that the word afraid.
They say this man raped him. Sister, you a woman? What? You get scared after it's done happened? You scared or are you angry?
You might be both, but I have a hard time.
No,
I just believe that a bunch of white women from the 60s and 70s were too afraid to say a black man raped them.
Thank you.
Doesn't mean it's not true. Stuff that they're coming with does not lend any credibility to their allegations being true. And
not a bit.
That was the reason? No, absolutely not. Especially multitudes of them. It seems to me like it would be more credible if it was one or two. But 50, no way, no how.
Remember the big lie. The more you tell it.
Anti-lynching legislation in the U.S. House of Representatives in 1968 So there's no way I'll believe any woman from the 60s and 70s would be too afraid to say a black man raped them.
And he wasn't.
You know, one thing to piggyback off of what Son of Man said earlier, the word afraid. You know, they don't ever say he forcibly did anything. Pay attention. But they say things like he brainwashed me or he drugged me. So I was, you know, incapable of, you know, stopping him. But at the same time, before all of that takes place, he offered you a drug. And in most cases, they say they just took it. Some say he slipped the drug to them. But the majority of them say they voluntarily took what he offered them, you know, not asking any questions as to what this was. Well, who the hell is Bill Cosby for you to be so intimidated that you can't ask him, what are you giving me? That doesn't even make sense. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, Bill Cosby is a celebrity, and I give him props for being, you know, an excellent actor and a producer of many great shows. But Bill Cosby could not give me a bill without me asking him, what is it for, and what will it do? I mean, I don't get that. So for them to act like they're so like naive and timid that they could not speak up for themselves just doesn't hold water.
Well, there's worse things.
Hey, sir, can you believe what's her name is Janice Dickinson is timid?
No,
wow.
Not at all.
Well,
not at all.
There's a few things psychologically that if you were really looking at this, trying to figure out what happened, they outed themselves. You know, we can really go in and do this if we really had the time. They've all outed themselves in different ways. Janice Dickinson was on a radio show with Howard Stern, mentioned Bill Cosby. Now just think of this like psychologically. When she was talking with Howard Stern, she was being crude and nasty and talking about her sex escapades, and she glossed over, alluded to something with Bill Cosby. Now, skip a few years later, about 10 years later, she's talking about Bill Cosby, and she's bawling, crying with tissues. So you play those two clips together, and you want to tell me that this woman is telling the truth. She alluded to the same situation, alleged situation, and she's goofing around with Howard Stern and then just running into other sexcapades. And then she's talking about that same situation years later, but this time she's crying with tissues. Come on.
I mean, okay, y'all keep talking about Dickinson.
What lies she told?
Let's go to Dickinson. Dickinson came forward in 2014 with claims that Cosby had drugged and raped her in 1982. Her 2002 autobiography, however, paints a very different picture. In No Lifeguard on Duty, the accidental life of the world's first supermodel, Janice writes that Cosby shut her out of his hotel room. So basically, Janice is saying that, she's saying one thing in the book, but today she's seeing something different. There was a glaring contradiction between what she's claiming now, from the first time, what she wrote in the book, and what she told the media back in 2002. Dickinson did an interview with the New York Observer in 2002 entitled Interview with a Vamp, completely contradicting her new story about Cosby. The interview a dozen years ago said she didn't want to go to bed with him, and he blew her off. Okay, now, fast forward, sitting down with an exclusive with E.T. on November 18th, Dickinson claims that Cosby contacted her after she got out of rehab and convinced her to travel to Lake Tahoe to have dinner and discuss a possible job opportunity. After this dinner, she alleges that he gave her a pill to help her with menstrual cramps. Okay, y'all, think about that. Okay, now, she said the next morning she woke up and I was wearing my pajamas. And I remember before I passed out that I had been sexually assaulted by this man, she alleges. Before I woke up in the morning, the last thing I remember was Cosby in a patchwork robe, dropping his robe and getting on top of me. And I remember a lot of pain. Okay, I'm going to dissect this one first, y'all. Okay, you are complaining. First of all, you're complaining of menstrual cramps. We all know what happens after menstrual cramps. So you're saying that he gives you something, he tells you, to help you with your cramps. And then all of a sudden, he wants to have sex? I don't think so. And so you're saying you woke up without your pajamas on? Wasn't he concerned that maybe your situation may occur? None of this just adds up. I mean, it just it just looks like schoolgirls coming up with like really nonsense for stories. I mean, these are grown women, but their stories are just, I mean, like playground stupid. I mean, really, just like somebody sat down, with a pad and just came up with the most ridiculous, stupid story and called it a fact. I mean, it just doesn't add up at all.
In Christine's court, she said there was always drugs.
Right.
Now, somebody that's been doing drugs most of their life, it ain't no surprise to me that they would stand up and tell a lie that don't make no sense at all.
She was probably high when she wrote it. I'm just saying.
I'm just telling you. I mean, that's what happens in Hollywood. In the entertainment industry, haven't you seen how many of people's lives have been messed up in that industry?
Right.
I mean, that's all they do is drugs. And they managers
Janice Dickinson has been in and out of rehab. I mean, she's even been on the rehab reality show. So we know she's got like a long history of drugs, by her own admission. But, she used to date Sylvester Stallone, and he's accused her of being a liar. And he stated that she was a publicity hound and would do basically anything to get attention. Now, that's somebody that's dated her. And also, another side note, y'all, Dickerson filed bankruptcy in 2013. She currently has, according to TMZ, a lawsuit against Rite Aid. Okay, so she's filing lawsuits everywhere, but she filed bankruptcy in 2013. Just putting that out there, y'all.
The people in that, Janice Dickinson and all of them people, they've been raped all right, but not by Dr. Cosby. They've had the worst kind of rape done to them. What happens to most of the entertainers that look so glamorous to you? And all they do is get them hooked on drugs and paint them up and make them look good, and pretty soon they ain't nothing but a slave. Nothing but a slave. And Dr. Cosby was there telling some of them, look, you don't have to do this. You can do something else. And their handlers sent them out there to say, well, he over there telling them they don't need to do this or don't need to do that. We need to do something about him.
Now, he was telling who this? Was he telling the ladies this, or he telling black people this? Or who
you remember when, Jewel Allison told me that without knowing she told me. Mm-hmm. Because she said he stood her up in front of the mirror and told her, look at yourself, how beautiful you are. You're glowing. Okay. And then he say that he took her hand back there and put it on him. But that's not true. She put her hand back there, he took it off and ushered her out the door.
You don't get
happened. Bill Cosby been trying to give our people advice for a long time.
I mean, you telling these stories like you was there. I'm not gonna tell the story like I was there. I'm gonna say I believe. But you're saying, be careful. You're saying the story. Be careful how you.
They better be careful. If I'm the Son of Man, be careful of what?
Being sued.
You come here to be careful.
Okay.
I'm here to defend my people.
All right.
I think people are just.
I want to get sued tonight.
I'm
I'm hoping none of us get.
I know who I'm angry with.
Okay.
And all these rich people that's done got wealthy off of the masses of the people, and then get up over the people and don't give a damn about the people. The very people who put them up there.
Right.
And when they see somebody that got up there that do care, they try to kill him. Well, it says,
right.
Now, you rich man, and weep for your miseries that shall come upon you. You better go and read James.
Right.
It's in there.
I believe.
And I hope that they repent.
I
really do.
We're going to go back to the phone line, Joe. We're going to pick up 860 again. 860. We came to you earlier.
I ain't going to preach on it. I say I'm not going to preach on your broadcast. I'm sorry. But, we can't let this stuff keep on going and see what's going on and don't say nothing.
Right.
You see they've been trying to make a joke out of him.
860-212, last time. Good evening, you're on center stage.
Can I ask you a question, Carrie?
Yeah.
You certainly may.
Why is it when I call on the show that it's unmuting my mic? That put me on. Why is it pressing 1 on the host queue? I never press 1.
I came to you earlier. You didn't answer.
No, you don't understand. The minute I call in, I did not even touch number 1, but it's automatically put me on the host queue.
Oh, did it? It's not doing anybody else like that. I'm not sure why. No, it's not doing anybody else like that. The other callers are holding it.
It did it to me again when I called in.
Well, maybe I don't know.
Okay.
You got a question tonight?
One thing. Isn't it strange how these women are bawling out rape, but not even defending the point where the time said if you've been raped, you don't take action. Like this is like a constant, I'm not sure, Brokeback Mountain type of scenario. And if he did say sexually rape more than 12, 13 women of what they say, this is a very long time to bring up something that was more than 10 years ago on an average. And even if he had money to quiet one thing, if he was doing this repeatedly to different women and some of the women stayed and still accept the rape and still want more of it, I think it's shame on them. I mean, that's how I look at it. I find it very weird that after all this, and say, at Bill Cosby's point in his life now, where he could kick the bucket anytime, that they now bring all these things just to take money and liquidate him, which is very hard to liquidate him, which most likely he's going to probably get off this. Because
and destroy a legacy, because when you can destroy his legacy, more than likely the money could stop in many channels because they could take his shows off television. So it could be destroying legacy.
Well, if they're destroying some of a black man's legacy, it's nothing really new. I mean, if anybody watched the Cosby Show, he's probably the only dude that still trying to revitalize the black man and his image, and he did it to his own way since the 80s going to the 90s. And because we know who controls the media, they feel otherwise that, no, you're not going to be put in position to revitalize the black nation, especially the man's image. That's why he went out on his own to try to say, it's better I have to own media in a way where we have to control the image. Now it makes sense why he turned tables to now say I have to really control the image, because he already see what they are trying to do. Because him doing it for over 10 or more years, going on tonight, that he see what they're doing. That they really want to destroy the image of the black family. They did it with they tried to do it what's it called? Good Times? When the lady and the guy, remember that? And she said that she was not going to participate anymore if they removed the man off the show. This is a process during the 70s to start destroying the black family whole with the Cosby Show. And now because, they decided they want to go direction because they were pushing hard to destroy the black family. See, people must understand this. Anything, and how to destroy a nation, you have to destroy the image. Because once you destroy the image, it's just like everything else falls. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just like Carl Jordan said, if I got to control man's thinking, I don't have to worry about anything else. So you got to think of that same perspective. If I destroy your image, I don't have to worry about anything else. You're going to accept everything and willing I portray of you in a more negative fashion. That's why we see ourselves much more in a dangerous situation now in regards to the destruction of the family.
Well, remember, brother, we all need to remember to support Dr. Cosby. And I'm not saying support him simply because he's black. But we can't diss him, as the youngsters say, because he's black either. We can't let people just tell us what we should think. In the first place, if you want to get me to think bad about a man, you prove to me that he's bad and I'll join with your side. But just because a bunch of you stand up and tell me that somebody ain't no good, you're going to have to do better than that. They did Jesus like that.
Thank you, Chaos.
They did. They
Sorry, I was closing you as you were saying that. Okay, finish your thought.
They did a lot of people that, son of man. See, one thing to destroy, before you destroy the person, you have to destroy his image. And once you do that, then you can get the body. That's the last thing. They never just get to the body first. They have to make everybody believe that this person's evil and this and that before to cut the head off. You follow me?
Yes,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I hear you. I hear you.
Thank you. If you just tuned in, you come center stage tonight. We're talking about the topic Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Reveal, Part 2. That's what we're talking about tonight, y'all. Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Reveal, Part 2. And, listen, we're just looking at the stories of some of these ladies, the ones that we've seen out in the media. Every time you see the story pop up in the news headlines, you see the faces of Chloe Goins, who we're going to next, Beverly Johnson, Janice Dickinson, P.F. Maston, and Andrea Constad and Beth Ferrer. Those are the faces that we see all the time. And, if you look at the media and the spin that they're putting on it, it looks like, wow, these ladies have really, really, serious cases of rape against Bill Cosby. But when you dissect it, you'll find out that a lot of these women don't have cases at all. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Y'all, why don't they have blood tests? Why don't they have police reports? No eyewitness accounts, no torn clothes, no nothing. All they got is allegations from 20, 40 years ago where they said Cosby did this or Cosby did that. So just like one of the articles said, all you have is she say, and she say. That's it. I mean, no real basis to make these allegations, even this one that's in court right now. We talked about Andrea Constad a few minutes ago. The story just doesn't add up. Who was speaking?
What you were saying with the fact that they don't have, they didn't go take a toxicology report and all that. That's actually working in their favor, because what people tend to do, this is how con artists succeed. What people tend to do is that everybody embraces the story and personalize it with their own experience or something they've heard or something they know. And statistics show that a lot of people do not report rape for whatever reason and for trauma. And a lot of people do not pursue action. And this is true. So what people do is not realize that these women just don't have evidence because their stories are just not true. They relate whatever personal experience they may have or whoever they may know and say, oh, yeah, you see, that's right. They don't report rape when it has nothing to do with these women. So just by default, these women are benefiting off of societal ignorance.
Now, remember, that's just what they telling us, that women don't report rape. Men don't report being raped or whatever. But understand something. If we're going to believe everything they tell us, well, then I know it was 14,000 cases in L.A. that was reported, and they got the kits, and they ain't acted on them.
Right.
So that statistic that they're giving just ain't so.
Either way, 55 women wouldn't choose not to.
Whenever somebody wrongs you, I know human nature. I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be scared of you. But you needn't think I ain't angry at you. And if it's any way I can make you pay for it, I'll take access to it. Now, in 14,000 cases that women took access to what they was offered, a rape kit, and they went and took the rape kit and waiting on the people to do something about it. Here you got 50 women, and Drew pointed that out again. How in the world you got 50-something women, not one went and got a kit, and all of them claiming they were scared of a black man. White women scared of a black man because he was powerful, and Bill Cosby wasn't even powerful back in the 70s and 80s.
Okay, y'all, we got 3 to get.
Ongoing show. We knew him from I Spy.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't no more powerful than the Temptations or any other black entertainer.
Okay, we got 3 to get to, Son of Man, but we got less than 30 minutes to get there.
Okay, y'all go ahead.
Okay, Chloe Goins. Yeah, I told you I invited her today. I spoke with her manager, Juris, twice today about, her coming on, and, up until showtime I did not actually get a confirmation. But that say it. Chloe came out this week with a record, about the whole situation, which was I'm at a loss for what that was. But anyway, we were hoping that she came on because her manager wanted us to play the song, and we were going to play it. But they did not show up, so it is what it is. But Chloe's story is very unique, and it was actually made news headlines this week because it was thrown out of court. So,
Miss Hines, I got a question. That song, does it mention something negative about Dr. Cosby?
Yes, it does.
It mentions him by name?
Yes, it does.
Oh, he got that. Yeah, get a copy of that to his lawyer.
Yeah, It's on YouTube right now.
We need to get
Chloe
that copy.
Goins basically alleges that on August 8th,
because there's his proof of her slander. That's it right there.
Right. Chloe Goins alleges that on August 9, 2008, Bill Cosby drugged her and sexually assaulted her at the Playboy Mansion. She said she woke up to find him biting her toes, of all things, and his pants down. However, there are flight records and telephone records to show that Cosby was 2,500 miles away. Okay, at the time that she alleges this happened. So, there is a problem there. And on Radar Online, they reported in May of 2011 that Goins was arrested for soliciting prostitution in Las Vegas. They also said that she faced being a minor in a gambling establishment. So we know last week her case was thrown out of court. Was that this week, y'all? Was that last week or this week? Her case was thrown out. The district. When was it?
Wasn't that it happened twice?
I think it was.
It happened twice. Okay, it happened twice.
Yeah, because the initial thing, she revised her story and then came back.
Okay. Well, we know this last time the DA said that they found insufficient evidence to bring a successful prosecution. So in essence, the DA is saying we're not touching that because we can't win it. So that was out. So this week she came out with a song, and the song was called Bill Cosby Diss Record. And it's on Always a Hit production label. And so, it was very graphic, in which, she's talking, well, no, I shouldn't say graphic. Let me take the word back. She was basically saying that, he thinks he's going to get away. They're going to ruin his career, that he was drugging women, that type of thing. And I'm not quoting her song verbatimly, y'all, because I didn't write that down. But that was the gist of what I remember about the song.
Well, ought to be able. The lawyers ought to be able to do something with that, because, and not just against her, but the company that produced the records too.
Well, because they couldn't win it. Not only was Bill Cosby proven to not even be in Los Angeles at that time, let alone at that party, she was not even at that party. They had video evidence from all of the cameras. The Playboy Mansion is surrounded by cameras. She was not on any camera footage at all. Furthermore, she had said she was there with a woman, and that woman also was not pictured on any of the security cameras. And when they interviewed her, she said she didn't even know Chloe Goins. So she completely lied, and she was proven to be lying. She wasn't there. He wasn't there. The other woman she said was there wasn't there and doesn't even know her. And there was a line in her song that I heard that one line was like he won't make a comeback or something like that, which I thought was an interesting line, given the fact that some people believe that all of this is happening just to destroy his career and legacy. And she's like basically taking a threat that, well, look, you're not going to make a comeback. You're not coming back from this, no matter what.
You're going to make, yeah. Kind of like we're nailing,
garbage on top of everything else. So it was hot garbage.
I agree.
It's always good when you have like you are women, and a woman know a woman. What you think?
Yeah, we do.
You
we do.
you listen to some women talking about this. Pay attention.
Okay, yeah, we got to get back to the phone lines, and we got a couple more to get to. But you're right, son, man. We do. Women do know women.
Women know women.
We do. 816-344. Good evening. You're on center stage.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much.
I just want to ask, like, what in the world is a rape victim doing making a rap song? Like, really? Like,
there you go, brother.
Detention for her fledgling career.
Yeah,
claimed that she was raped in the first place. She would lie about being raped just to get some attention, and now she's making some silly little song about the whole situation.
I feel like it's really disgraceful to like real rape victims. Like, I mean, a lot of people, say that, well, there's 50 people and they all have like the same story, but that doesn't make it true. That doesn't make him guilty. Like, it really bothers me.
And they don't have the same story at all.
I know, and they don't even have the same story. A lot of them have like criminal backgrounds or fraud liars. They have failed careers and they just want money. And it's just, I think it's horrible what's going on.
Yeah.
We do too.
But yeah, I feel like they're like, this whole thing is like shooting everyone in the foot because like it's gonna make people think in the future, like if like a rich person actually does rape someone in the future, they're not gonna like take it as seriously because of these clowns.
It will also though, brother, it'll teach these news people a lesson that the American people ain't as dumb as they think we are.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. We're going to go to 773-280. Good evening. You're on center stage.
Good evening, Carrie. Hi, this is Chris. How are you doing?
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey,
Chris is over in Germany, y'all. I guess he's tuning in a little late. Good morning, Chris.
Yes. Good morning to everybody. I just wanted to interject something real quick to give people maybe a bird's eye view of the world and how things work. As I was sitting here listening, in reference to Bill Cosby, I want people to keep this in mind. There's a word called proprietary, and it basically means it's exclusive ownership. It's like getting a patent and so forth. Now, a lot of people are only looking at the aspect of these allegations because they do that to do what I call muddy in the water. It's kind of like a smoke screen. Some could be true, some could be false, but not necessarily valid in terms of claiming that someone raped or assaulted because it hasn't yet been proven. So it's in the court of public opinion. But I said all that to say this. In Germany, the German government doesn't allow a lot of the stuff that goes on in the U.S. And, for instance, the military that has multiple military installations here, they don't own any of it. It's all leased. And the majority of the civilian positions are held by Germans. Now, why do I say that and what does that have to do?
He's breaking up.
Okay, how about now?
Better.
That's better.
Okay. What people have to keep in mind is that entities, including the U.S. government, but definitely corporate America, when you're not on their team, they will not stop at any measure to blacklist you or basically get you out of contention. Michael Jackson, when you think about the money through Sony and all the libraries that he bought libraries like for Little Richard that he had lost royalties on different songs. He bought them and gave them back to Little Richard. Now, if you can think about the millions on billions of dollars that he was slated to make, they were not going to have that. And the only way that they could get him out of was to kill him. Now, a lot of black individuals that have rose to prominence, they know they can't kill him, but they go to the next default, and that's destroy their name or basically blacklist them. So people are only looking at a lot of people, and it's through ignorance. I mean, I was there once upon a time too, but when you start thinking outside the box and looking at the kinks in the armor, you will realize that this had a couple different tenets. Money was the second was control, and then the third was, even though you black, they're not likely to let black individuals into the white-only club. They will let you get so close, but they're not going to actually let you join and punch that ticket. So people need to keep in mind, this is, Petraeus, saying, Petraeus, infidelity. The same thing with President Clinton. But what happened to those white men? They didn't get destroyed. Petraeus still has a government job now. So just keep in mind that this has to do more about money, strategic power, than anything dealing with these allegations of rape and assault.
I agree.
That's right, brother. They don't want that man to be able to help his people.
I believe
that's what it's all about.
Okay, y'all, we got two to get you. We're on Barbara Bowman.
We got you back, Dr. Cosby.
Yeah, we're gonna make it tonight. Barbara Bowman, she claims her situation happened in 1986. She claims that Cosby worked toward gaining her trust and becoming her mentor before sexually assaulting her in a Reno hotel room in 1986. She goes on to say that she alleges that there was a first string of incidences. Now, a first string of instances that took place that year, including an assault in Atlantic City when Cosby drugged her and forcibly, this is the first one that says forcibly, attempted to rape her. Now, listen, y'all, she said a string of instances. So if you happen once, why would you go back for a second dose? But we're going to go on. She says that Cosby threw me on the bed and braced his arm under my neck so that I couldn't move my head. And he started trying to take his clothes off. Bowman told People magazine back in 2006, I remember all the clinking of his belt buckle, and he was trying to take my pants down, and I was trying to keep them on. She goes on to say that she claimed that she was drugged and raped by Cosby not only once, but multiple occasions over the course of many years. She claimed Cosby would pay for her to get on planes and fly to different cities where he could re-rape her over and over again. She basically says that Cosby brainwashed her into positioning her to fly around the country to be repeatedly drugged and raped.
Ms.
Where
Hines,
they do that
I want to
out here. Like, that's so ridiculous. She is just,
that's the one
long-term affair with them. It was an affair before. Now he's been brainwashing me and drugging me and flying me all over the place to rip me. Like, lady, stop. And then I saw her in an interview where she said, basically, she was, all the clothes and cars and houses and stuff. And then once she made allegation against him, he, took the house and all that stuff away. And she was saying, like, how she lost her house behind all this. Like, no. If a man is putting you up and you're being his mistress, if you're going to talk about he's raping you and stuff, then he's probably going to stop supporting you financially. So you're going to have to leave. Like, that's ridiculous. And why would you want his stuff anyway? But she's
on YouTube in a video where she's being interviewed, where she took the interviewer to two different houses. One was in Manhattan and one was in Long Island. Now, I saw her, old pictures. I'm sorry, nobody's that cute. I mean, what made you think that he wanted to put you on flights and have you traveling all over the country, putting you up in houses, and what were you supposed to be doing in turn? I mean, that's just ridiculous, and it's just stupid, and it makes these women look foolish to come out and say that a man re-raped you over and over again, and he had you brainwashed like you couldn't make your own decisions. That's just ridiculous. I mean, in those houses, he didn't live with you. You could come and go as you wanted to, so why didn't you just leave? That's my opinion.
I tell you something else that everybody done forgot. When have you ever seen a star that was dating white women and you didn't see some pictures of him out there with her? Now, when have you ever seen Bill Cosby's face in a magazine dating white women?
I don't think he dated her.
You.
I think it was just a situation.
Bill Cosby was not your average Negro. Bill Cosby wasn't starstruck over white people.
I wouldn't even call it an affair. I would call it sex for hire. And after he no longer wanted to have sex, he took away everything. And that's what this is more about.
I ain't gonna even call it that, because and why? I mean, why do you have to put somebody up somewhere when you have that kind of money? You can do one night stands as long as you want.
Well, some men want certain women on a regular basis, so they establish
they got call girls that's much cheaper. And that's just the way it is, man. Bill Cosby is not what they trying to make him look like, and I don't care how they try to frame it. If they really had anything that was really true, that man would have been in jail a long time ago.
I believe that.
Now I'm not gonna keep on rehashing this, and because that's what they want us to do. They want us to have some doubt, or want us to buy part of the lie. I ain't buying none of it. Now, if Dr. Cosby say he was with this one or with that one, I believe him. But if he say he wasn't with this one or with that one, I'll believe him too. Because the one thing we have not been able to accuse him of is being a liar.
Okay, y'all. We got one more to get to, and we got 10 minutes to get there. And I think we're going to make it. All right, I agree with you, son of man, and we're going to talk about PJ Maston. She's also known as Patricia Maston, okay? If y'all remember this woman, in 1979, she claims that she was working as a Playboy bunny at the Playboy Club in Chicago. She alleges that Cosby lured her to his room, where he served her a glass of alcohol. Then she blacked out. She awoke hours later in bed next to Cosby, who was naked. She claims to know a dozen other bunnies, Playboy bunnies that is, that it happened to, but they are all too afraid to come forward. Okay. So in 1994, go back a little piece, Maston, then going by the name Patricia Maston, claims that sportscaster Marv Albert bit her and tried to force her to perform oral sex in a Dallas hotel room. She said while he was wearing panties and a garter. She claims that she escaped by pulling off of Albert's toupee. So she said she pulled off his toupee and she was able to escape. However, Mr. Albert said after the trial that all of her accusations were completely and totally fabricated. So Maston has accused two famous men of rape. How likely, or attempted rape or some type of sexual assault, how likely is it that one woman would have two famous men who would attempt to rape her?
0 to none.
Not likely at all.
This the woman that get paid and don't to take the clothes off.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, I guess so.
Don't the Playboy got a magazine out full of naked women?
All the time. But I'm just trying to understand.
He woke up in the bed with her naked.
But these people it's weird that people want you to believe that innocence was.
Don't you know they wanted to set him up, and they did. They wanted to set him up. They'd have had pictures of him in the Playboy Club with some woman naked. They didn't get that.
But the Playboy Mansion, the Playboy magazine, nothing about the Playboy image is pure. It's all about sex. Am I right?
Not a thing. And here she comes talking about somebody raped her.
Yeah, and like what I mentioned the last time, what was really interesting from a journalist standpoint was that, yeah, you know, you just stated that that's all true. He was interviewed live on air with Anderson Cooper and others, and none of these journalists mentioned that, which was really, really telling. That was just like, you know, that was the elephant in the room when I was watching the interview, because I had done my research, and, you know, I'm not on that level. I'm not working for CNN, and you have this huge piece of something that's so relevant to everything right now. You were sexually assaulted by Marv Albert also, and not a peep out of their mouth.
And you know what else is strange, Drew? Ain't nobody interviewed Hugh Hefner.
Nobody.
That's so true.
I believe anybody that said that they got raped or assaulted at the Playboy Mansion, because you never hear about anything happening at the Playboy Mansion. They have that running like a tight ship. And if people are repeatedly getting raped and assaulted there, you'd heard something about it by now, and I'm sure he would probably not allow Cosby back over there, because that's just going to bring too much trouble on, you know, the stuff they got going on over there. If you're raping all these, especially all these white women over here, and even women claiming that they were underage at the time, like, that brings too much heat on what, you know, they're doing over there. So I don't
but
know.
how much was at the Playboy Mansion?
Well, here's the other thing why they didn't bother Hugh Hefner. One, he's white. Two, he's rich. Three, he's connected. And then fourth, even to bring that, to even get a case into a court of law, to be able to subpoena him, they would have to have something in order to subpoena him to basically try and force a deposition out of him. So since those four things are not happening, and it's
you breaking up.
It's muddy the water. That's all they can do.
But how many drugs? How many drugs do you think are at the Playboy Mansion? I mean, really, sex pills especially. I mean, really.
You don't know.
It's crazy to think that these women are just acting like they were just there serving cocktails. It's just, no, I don't know what a bunny does, but I do not believe her job description is just to serve cocktails.
Well, you know, some people, they don't live in the real world. You know, they think that they just walking around in the bunny suit, just serving cocktails. But, you know, I mean, if that's what you want to think, it's just like going to the average massage parlor. You know, that's what you think, that's all you there for, and then that's fine. That's what you there for.
When you
it's
go
probably
to
kind of like one of those places you go to and you say, I want a massage, and they tell you go over here. And then you say, I want a massage with something more, they tell you go over there.
There you go. There you
go.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's the kind of world you live in. It's for some parts it's for square, and other parts is for people that know what's going on.
All right.
That's just the way it is. I'm glad I grew up in America. I didn't grow up in no bubble. I done seen some of everything. That way people can't fool me.
Well, y'all center stage train tonight took off with a destination toward truth. And I think we got there tonight. Listen, 2 hours flat or just under, we made it. And we talked about Chloe Goins tonight. We talked about Beverly Johnson. We talked about Janice Dickinson, Beth Ferrer, P.J. Maston, also known as Patricia Maston, Barbara Bowman, and also Andrea Constand. So y'all decide. But we dissected all of these cases in 120 minutes, and I think it's very clear that there's a lot going on with this Bill Cosby case, and it ain't what the mainstream media has been reporting it to be. So with that said, do y'all have final comments tonight? Son of Man, we'll start with you.
I want to say this. There's one thing that we all have overlooked to be overlooked. It wasn't no white people calling in here accusing us of just siding with him because he's black. They are a long way from stupid. And there's some decent Caucasian people in this country, and we appreciate them. And that's one of the things that makes it worth trying to save. And so, let's give justice where it belongs. if Bill Cosby was a rapist and some evidence came out that he truly did do something like that, I'm just like you, Miss Hines, when you opened up. We don't condone rape, but we don't condone lynching either.
No, we don't.
And even the man on Fox News said Bill Cosby is being raped.
Wow.
Glenn Beck, you can find it online. Glenn Beck said Bill Cosby is being raped.
Right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Drew Hopkins, final comment.
To piggyback what Son of Man was saying, I just think we're in a time of a great deception, and we're going to need to be critical thinkers more than ever. You cannot trust the mainstream media. They spin narratives, and it's really high time that people really start thinking. And it's with Bill Cosby and beyond, which we're talking about war, politics. You're being misinformed about a great many things, and it's really high time that people really come together and open their mind.
I agree. Christopher, final comment.
I just want to say thank you to this very distinguished panel, and you have done more than you probably fully realized in just basically not just poking holes, but laying out the framework that black people, specifically the black people, need to think outside the box. They need to look at the kinks in the armor. I think everyone has laid that out very well, because we're no longer on the mentality, because we can actually read. It's not against the law, and we can research on the internet. And if we would do that, we come to the same conclusion that a lot of these things that are brought by white mainstream media are not true. But we have to do the homework. But you all have opened up the door that black folks can at least look at this.
I agree. Okay, Christopher went out. Again, he's in Germany, like in the AM up there, so he may not be back. Christopher, can you hear us?
Yes, I can still hear.
Okay, finish your comment. You kind of went out the last couple of words.
Oh, yes, I was just saying that it's shows like these, and it's fearless panel members like yourselves that make it so that it takes the excuses away, and it puts clear information and pathways for people to do research. Stop being on the plantation, black folks. We have to start thinking. And since I said before, reading is not illegal, do so. And I'm not speaking to everybody, but I'm speaking to those that in cases like these that are naysayers, because they believe literally, word for word, white mainstream media. The same organizations that don't mind you being killed and vilified. So think outside the box.
Great. Hillary, final comments.
I don't have anything to add. Everyone else pretty much said everything as eloquently as it can be said. The only thing I would add is definitely check out Drew Hopkins' videos. They're very informative and well done, and really shed light on this entire issue in a succinct manner.
Thank you.
You know what? I got a final comment, y'all. There's some things I forgot to bring up trying to get us out of here 2 hours flat. Y'all know there has been a defense fund set up for several of the women that Bill Cosby is countersuing. These women are saying that they want people to give them money to help them defend themselves against Bill Cosby. These women believe there's a lot of interest in their story. Therefore, there should be huge amounts that are going to be coming in to help them fight these fees. These people include Beverly Johnson, Tamara Green, Therese Sirignes. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. Sirignes. Linda Traits, Louise Moritz, and Barbara Bowman, who we talked about tonight, and Joan Tarshis and Angela Leslie. Okay, so these are women that Bill Cosby is countersuing, so they have decided to set up a GoFundMe account and are asking you to send them money so that they'll have the money to fight Bill Cosby in court. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Before you go, I got to remind people that God said in His Word that whoever takes part in an unjust action, you have a share in its punishment. And you just remember that. Now, you want to help them, you go on and help them. But I'm talking to those who think that they need to help them women keep up their lives.
But I want to put something out there that one of them said about this GoFundMe account. They said one, and they unnamed this person, but they said it was one of the women. They said one of the women said, even if they prove that one of us lied, that doesn't mean that the other 55 lied. And I just thought that was a strange comment to make. If y'all all believe that you're all victims, that someone would say that. So on the flip side of that, that would make you think that if we've proved tonight that there's reason for suspicion with the women that we brought up this week and the women that we brought up last week, then couldn't that mean that the other 45 are lying too, or the other however many are lying too? So just think about it, from both sides. But
it wouldn't even came up if they didn't know they was lying.
Right. They're already conceding. They're conceding some ground right now.
You know, I mean, you sit up there and took the picture with them. They all taking pictures together. They all know they're lying.
You are a legitimate victim that you would want to root out people who are lying, because those people are going to jeopardize your case. If you have a legitimate case, I don't want my case attached to your case and you out here telling bold-faced lies, because now people are going to doubt my story. So I thought that was an interesting comment to even bring up, because you as a victim are running around acting heretofore that everybody is telling the truth. But now you bring up that it's a possibility that one can be proven, not only is lying, but can be proven to be lying. So that would believe that there are others lying. Maybe he can or can't prove that they're lying, and they know that these people aren't telling the truth.
And y'all, the last thing I want to...
It's not on his lawyers to prove that he's innocent. It's on them to prove that he's guilty, and their lies just ain't holding up.
And y'all, the last two things I want to mention before I get out of here is that Bill Cosby's legacy is really thick and really long. We're talking about his works include The Bill Cosby Show, Little Bill, A Different World, The Electric Company, The Cosby Show, Fat Albert, The New Fat Albert, Cosby, and I Spy. So this man is rich with television history. And we also know that more than 20 universities have rescinded Bill Cosby's honorary degrees. However, universities like Pennsylvania and Yale have not. I think there's University of Penn. I think it's what it's called, UPenn. They have not, so it's very interesting to pay attention that not everybody is following suit, even though the media would make you think that he's losing all of his honorary doctorates. That's not true. Some of them have, but a lot of them haven't. And the last thing I want to...
Notre Dame is one that haven't, I think.
Okay. And the last thing I want to mention, that according to the IRS, more than $800,000 in scholarship grants were given out by William Cosby and Camille Cosby Foundation from July 2000 to June 2013. So we're talking $800,000 of their own money that they've given out in scholarship foundations. So Bill Cosby has a rich legacy, y'all. And is it about tearing it down? That's what I'm wondering, if that's what this is all about. But Drew Hopkins, tell them how to find you on the web.
You can find me at drewstorynews.com, and Drew is DRU. Or you can find me at the webpage, drewstorynews.com, where all the YouTube videos, Twitter, everything will direct you where you need to go for the YouTube videos.
Okay. Slaughter Man, tell them how they can reach out to you or keep up with what you all are doing. Did we lose Slaughter Man?
We have we have a conference room that we're still going to be in after this goes off. And it's the number, we have two conference rooms. The numbers are 712-432-0075, and it has an access code. The access code is 912-932, followed by the pound key. Again, that's 712-432-0075. Access code 912-932. The other conference room is HD, and it's 605-562-3140. Access code 869571, followed by the pound key. Again, that's area code 605-562-3140, and the access code is 869571 pound. And
okay, y'all, we got to get out of here. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish on a minute.
That was it. That was it. We're going to be on. We're going to continue. We're in the conference rooms now, and I'm going to continue in there after you let us go.
Okay, y'all, listen, we got to get out of here. We do this each and every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Central, 9 to 11 Eastern. Join us right here, same bad time, same bad channel. Also, listen, y'all, we've done all we can do, due diligence to this Bill Cosby story. And if by now you don't have a reasonable doubt, you have not been paying attention. I suggest you go back and listen to Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Reveal, and Bill Cosby, Facts the Media Never Reveal Part 2. And we'll just see what happens with this Bill Cosby case, but I am kind of like Son of Man. I think that they're absolutely going to have to dismiss this case in the end, and I'm not sure all of these civil suits are going to stand up either. Okay, guys, we got to get out of here. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.